she put a lot of faith in me to get this going.
No joke.
Yes. I mean, we're also just started farming.
Welcome to the Taylor Moreland podcast. I'm joined here today with Greg Thomas of Thomas Elevated Ag out of Iowa. And we're going to be talking about drones, obviously, everything from your origin story to what we're going to see maybe coming in this industry, challenges that we've had over the past year or more, and how we can improve looking at the future. We've talked a fair bit, over the past couple of days here, actually, and then, over the past year, as you've worked with us, through the thick and thin of supporting your customers, getting new guys up and running with drones. So I'm actually really excited to hear kind of about your story on how you got started in this. So I guess before we get into that, you want to tell everybody, who you are, where you're at, and what your first drone was and how you got started. How about that?
Yep. So obviously my name's Greg Thomas. I've been in agriculture pretty much my entire life. Didn't grow up on a farm, but my aunts and uncles all had farms, and I was always helping one or the other on their farm. And then previous to this, I was in farm equipment sales and did that. And then we bought a farm here in the year of COVID. And when we were farming that earlier, we saw that disease pressure and stuff was a big thing. And where we're at, we're surrounded by trees, we're surrounded by power lines. And so we saw the need for drones, do that. And then one of my customers at the time through my dealership that I worked for was involved in drones and was kind of one of the first ones that got involved. And so then we started talking a little bit more, and then ended up starting it was supposed to be a part-time thing to do it on the side type deal. And then within 2 weeks of talking with neighbors and friends, I had like 18,000 acres booked of fungicide.
Holy cow.
And so,
well connected, it sounds like.
Yeah. And we started with T40s the first year. I remember
that was the summer of 23.
Yeah. The first year of the T40. So yes, it was been 23. We started. Yep. Quit my job. That was all in December when I started booking acres and stuff. Quit my job in March, April. Started getting the trailer set up, ready to go. Started getting all that stuff ready to go. Kind of flying by the seat of our pants. Didn't know what we were doing or getting into.
Holy cow.
We had, there was at the time as Grip Custom Farming Corp help us get started and get separate, get going and stuff with their support. And then we stayed on our own, and then so ran our first year. Challenges on that year was a lot of the DGI T40 issues of terrain following and all that stuff, because we are in hills up in eastern Iowa, and we started learning how to do it, but it was a struggle our first year. There's no doubt about it. Got through the year with help of Grips. They helped us a lot that first year and stuff, and they still help us today to a point. But went through that, and then the next year I thought we got to try a different drone because we were adding to our fleet, because that 18 turned into about 30 the second year.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a huge trajectory. I mean, I just want to throw that out there. I mean,
it wasn't even a trajectory. That was the amount of people that came to us.
Wow.
From word to mouth. We never advertised our business once. Facebook is all we had, and we only had 50 followers at the most, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But word of mouth got around really fast with us. And then, so then we decided we were going to try a different brand of drone because terrain following and all that stuff and speed and productivity. So we tried the XAGs. I bought 2 of them my second year. That was okay as long as you mapped everything ahead of time. But if you didn't map it, it would hit any object that was out in the field. So obstacle avoidance was a major problem, and terrain following was a major problem. And then we signed up as a dealer, which would have been last year in December. Kind of do it to our own, just to help our own spray business to a point.
Well, when you got 30,000 acres.
Yeah. To help our own spray business and all that stuff to a point. And then I saw the need for growth because people were calling about selling drones, and saw the J100 in action, and the terrain following was awesome. The obstacle avoidance was great. We saw all that stuff when we first came down to the demo day. Then next thing you know, I had 20 some J100 sold.
Which is also a huge trajectory.
It is also a huge increase because our plan was selling 4 or 5 drones a year to get started and get going. And then, and then from there, so then we went through with the struggles on the J100s, did the best we could to take care of our customers. They come first, but also still trying to get them 30,000 acres sprayed, which we did. We got pretty close to our goal, and that we have a full-time tech on hand, Nick. He's been with us since March, I believe it was, and he's been a huge help for us. He's a very good tech guy, knows his drones, knows that. Doesn't know anything about agriculture, but he knows drones. So that's been a huge plus with that side of things, because him and I can work together on.
You're the ag guy.
I'm the ag guy. He's a tech guy.
Yeah.
Yep. So that did that, and then we kind of looked at our dealership, and and my wife is on board. She does all the billing, she does all the paperwork and behind the scenes, and keeps me going obviously every day. So
and it sounds like she's bringing in some marketing stuff too, from what I've learned yesterday.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's her background, is marketing. So I want her to focus on that a lot because I know she's really good at it, even though she thinks she's not. She is really good at it. So that'll be some of that. And then, as we look into this, and then I guess that's my history. And here we are with the drones and the spray business and trying to manage and balance it all. Everything's been on me up until now.
I love learning this stuff.
Hopefully I'm going to get some help with that stuff.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're going to need it too.
Yes.
I love learning, everybody's origin story when it comes to this technology, because, you think, we've served a lot of customers in the past, and we've heard all different facets of, but usually it's, want to get a drone and, do a few neighbors, here and there.
Right.
But to go from, I think I want to do a, part-time thing with this drone deal.
Right.
To 18,000 acres and quitting your job in a matter of, we're talking months.
Yes. And I was the sole income holder in the house too.
Wow.
So it was a big, she put a lot of faith in me to get this going.
No joke.
Yes. I mean, we were also just started farming and bought our first farm at that, in 2020. So, trying to get that all going, plus the spray business, plus everything else. She put a lot of faith in me to get this going.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
I knew I couldn't let my family down and stuff, so I wasn't going backwards. I was going to drive forward no matter what. So
determination is a powerful thing.
That's what I learned on a dairy farm, is the hard work and determination. You can't lose with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Luck comes your way whenever you have lots of hard work behind it.
I hope someday luck is going to show up. Hope someday that'll happen. But yeah.
Well, some people, might say that, getting, 18,000 acres your first year, and, that could be considered lucky. But I think a lot of that probably had to do with what you did prior to being full-time drone guy.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think so?
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. My work ethic and everything behind me. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well,
But my wife always tells me there's not a lot of people around like me that can wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and work till midnight and continue to do that week after week.
yeah.
And there's not. I know that. Learning that more and more, they're not like I was when I was a kid.
No, and I think to be very successful in this business, we're running automated drones, but they're far from doing our work for us.
Correct.
And yeah, you really have to put a lot of work in. It's a lot of hours in.
Yes.
Yeah, to get 8 hours of spraying in is not just an 8 hour day.
Correct.
It's way more than that.
Correct. And when we first started, started talking about when we started the drone business on the spraying side, I didn't think there was going to be a lot of people getting involved in it. And by going through my first year is the biggest reason I say that, because running them first drones they had their good days, but it was like very, very, very slim days that were good days. Mm-hmm. And when we were spraying, the long hours, the long days, that's what told me that nobody's going to get involved in this, because I'm an idiot for being involved in this. But we got through it and expanded our fleet, which was scary. And then we started relying on college interns to run our drones.
Even scarier.
Even scarier because, there's a lot of money sitting there or for what I've said from day one, somebody getting hurt.
Yeah.
I don't care about the money. I care about somebody, if they got hurt, that would be the worst thing in the world. So safety was a big thing that we preached to everybody, and and we still do that today. Everybody's got to stay safe for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's something that I keep thinking that, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and it's the dad in me coming out, or it's because these drones are getting bigger, or it's because there's more and more people, all of whom have, not a lot of experience, and there's people like you and me who do, and maybe get complacent, and they might learn bad habits from us.
Right.
I think more and more about safety.
Yep.
With these drones every time we're running them.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Because they're nothing to be messed around with, and stuff. So. Yeah. But the one thing I will say, as things have evolved, they're less and less user interface in them. They're more autonomous than they ever have been. So that's been a huge plus. A lot less fatigue, a lot less this, everything, even more productivity behind it, for sure. That has been a big positive on the drone industry in the last 2 years, really.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I want to dive into a bit on your first year as a drone operator, and get some details on what that was like, because everybody has challenges. The first year is always a learning year, but in very rarely does anybody jump into it with both feet. You kind of dip your toe into it. You take a learning year, so to speak, and then you decide whether or not this is for me, and whether I should keep my full-time job or do this full-time or continue the part-time job.
Yep.
So, all right. So you've been in sales, sounds like, for
so I started in sales in 2014, fall of 14. I started in sales at Altor for Ag Products, which is a cat dealership. Now currently no cat on the ag side, but they're all Fendt and cloth stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So equipment sales sounds like majority of what your experience has been.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I've always been in a business that I've talked to farmers and stuff like that, like whether it was at the co-op or doing the farm equipment stuff. Yeah. For sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Which makes sense, having a lot of contacts like you did, and it sounds like people trusted you quite a bit, to get so much work your first season. Okay, so that first season you ran, was it 2 drones?
We had 3, but we only ran 2. We had one as a backup.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So 2 T40s. Sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, 2 T40s. Yep.
Okay. Yep. And that was you and...
I had a pilot, Brad. He was a friend of mine that jumped on board with me to fly.
Yeah.
And then we hired that year high school kids to help us change the battery, fill the liquid up on that year. Yep.
Okay.
So we had 1, 2, 3, 4 high school kids, maybe 5 that just kind of rotated around to help us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now, whenever you first decided to get these drones, and you said looking at kind of a part-time thing, I assume that was probably fall of 22, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been, correct. Yep.
Yeah. Fall of 22.
Yep.
And found out you had a lot of work lined up pretty quickly. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around that decision-making process, to go from part-time gig to full-time gig to quitting your job. That was a hectic, we're talking about 3 months, 4 months there.
Yeah. So December, I started talking to guys and kind of working with that.
Lining up acres.
In December.
Yeah.
And then,
because you already knew, I guess you already knew what you wanted to do with the drones. You already knew corn fungicide mainly was going to be your biggest market, right?
Correct. 100%. Yep.
Yeah.
So really I was going to take some time off in July and August and just kind of do this. And I didn't expect, if I was going to get 3,000 acres, 4,000 acres, whatever.
Then you're going to be happy about that. Yeah.
To a point. Yeah. Yeah. I always wanted to start my own business too. So I always had that in the back of my head.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do that. And farming is just, I don't have anybody that in my immediate family that directly farms where I could join in on their farm. My wife's family farms and stuff like that. But at the time, there wasn't any place for me to be involved in that. And I've always wanted ag. That's the only thing I know from when I was a kid. So, I've done it my entire life.
Yeah.
So farming wasn't feasible for us to get involved in, even though we ran our own farm and did that, but it wasn't feasible for us to grow.
Yeah.
Yep.
I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So part-time is what you told yourself in the back of your mind. You probably knew that this is something that could grow into
I didn't expect it that fast.
Yeah.
I really didn't. I figured I'd get a year under my belt.
Okay. So December, you start lining up acres. You wrap up a lot of, somewhere between then and March, you realized that this could be a full-time job or it could be full-time income.
I pretty much knew in the middle of December that
in the
I
middle
would
of December
quit.
already. You knew.
Yeah, because I already had the acres pretty much lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, what was the next step? Start finding help.
I had talked to my pilot Brad there before then actually, and he was already on board with the flying part and helping with that. And then started asking some of the neighbors and stuff. They had some high school kids that were looking for some work. So that actually didn't take too long to get that process going.
Yeah.
And then, right after I quit my job, I started building my trailer setup. That was during planting season. And, working countless hours on getting that all set up was, it was crazy.
What kind of trailer setup did you go with that first year?
We did it was kind of a hybrid. We bought from a place in Georgia. We got a enclosed plus a flat deck, and then I built the pilot station above that. And then we were landing everything on the ground and loading and unloading the drones off the back of the trailer.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's why we had the 4 people. The 2 they started the unloading process. We went up and started flying just so we could separate away and just concentrate on the flying side of things.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. So you had separate jobs for each,
everybody. Yep. So the high school kids, they changed the battery and stuff. That was all their primary job. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I see.
Yep.
Well, it makes it a bit easier to do a lot of acres when your right arm doesn't hurt at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And then we also started spraying potatoes that year too from a potato grower that I've been working with on the equipment side. I told them that I was leaving Altorfers and told them why. And at the time they were looking for a drone operator. So it really fit, and we still spray for them today.
Potatoes?
Yes.
Where at?
New Miller Farms in Savannah, Illinois.
Okay.
Yep. They farm, I don't remember how many acres of potatoes, potentially 1,000 acres in Savannah. And then they have 2 other locations.
in the Midwest?
In Illinois.
In Illinois?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I didn't realize that potatoes were a big market, a big crop. And
Yeah, right there in that Thompson, Savannah area is a big vegetable fruit area because it's all sand.
yeah.
And there's a melon guy that's right in the same area that grows a lot of pumpkins, watermelons, and all that stuff. They spray everything with a ground rig, but like potatoes get sprayed once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're spraying those potatoes once a week with a drone.
correct.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, that's makes it pretty easy to have steady income, sounds like.
Yes, that was nice. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so year one wraps up, and it sounds like you're all in at this point in time. And
Yeah. So
realizing
during
you
year one, it was I would get done spraying, and then I would climb into my office at 9, 10 o'clock at night and put all my orders in to try to get ready for the next day, plus get all what I've sprayed billed, and then get back up in the morning at 4 o'clock and start mixing for the next day, so that way Brad and I could get going and get started spraying.
not super sustainable, it sounds like.
It was rough. It was rough. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of hours, a lot of extra hours. Yep. Yep. Obviously, we figured out what was our weaknesses and went to improve on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
What improvements did you make year 1 to 2? Besides, it sounds like you.
Well, we added to our fleet, took me out of the flying side of things.
Okay.
So year 2, I didn't do a whole lot of flying at all. Well, take that back. So right when the interns showed up, we had a alfalfa weevil show up in our area, and spraying alfalfa was a big problem because it was coming in and destroyed like the dairy farmers and the beef farmers' hay crop there. So we probably sprayed that first. It was probably 3,000 acres of hay during hay season when my interns just showed up, and I'm supposed to be telling them what to do and direct traffic with them. And oh, by the way, you're going to come with me to go spray because we got to keep going.
Well, it's good training.
It was very good hands-on training, but it was kind of by fire trial. So, but anyway, got that done and then started training them the right way and moving forward with that.
Yeah.
Learned from what we did on that year with the setups and this and that. And then last year was a lot smoother for sure.
You changed your trailer setup from year 1 to 2. Still, you're still operating with the same?
Correct.
Yeah, kind of.
Correct.
Half enclosed, half open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still doing the same way with landing on the ground.
Yes.
Pilots up top.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we didn't do the pilots up top last year because the J100s are very autonomous. We ran that way with basically a crew on the ground.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. So that reduced the number of people you needed, or?
No, we still ran the same amount of people.
Amount of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's interesting. You know, I just had a conversation with somebody who said they found it more efficient to not have 2 people per drone, but 1 person in 1 drone, because I don't know, maybe it's you know.
You know your routine and you can move forward.
Yeah, well, what he was saying more so was you get a couple of high school kids or college interns, and if they've got downtime in between a drone landing, they're going to start chit-chatting it. And it may take them an extra minute to get over to the drone and load a battery and load a tank.
Yeah,
So,
when you do that 100 times a day, it adds up drastically in time,
Right.
for sure. For sure.
but it sounds like you guys are well disciplined, and
Yeah, they did a really good job.
Yeah.
Both years, for sure. They did. Now, obviously, as the drones get bigger, I have to decide on changing my trailer setup because the J150, we're not going to load and unload that heavy thing every field. That thing is just, we did that late season when we got it. And I wasn't going to do it. So I'm not going to expect somebody else to do it. So we're trying to figure that out as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as they get bigger, how do we change our setup to maybe work towards the bigger,
Accommodate for what's next.
accommodate what's coming in the future? That's the big thing, because it's not only the where you're going to land it and take it off from, but the volume of the capacity, the generators, the charging, all that stuff comes into play to look at the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of fields, I mean, how big? What's an average field size you guys are doing?
Like in our fungicide season, 30 to 50 acres is our average field
not
size.
huge fields.
No, we got some fields that are big, when we go down south by Davenport and stuff. But most of our stuff is probably a 30, 40 acre field, even below that. So a lot of moving, a lot of transporting.
Is
yeah.
pretty important.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. That's why we have 2 pickup setups, is just the ease of moving them. Up and down the road is a lot easier, and just to get into back corners and stuff like that.
So apart from trailer setup, you've got a couple pickups.
Yep.
Single drone operation.
Correct.
Yeah, where you can get back to some smaller pieces and
Correct.
transport easier.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. Yep. And they can sit in the driveway, or they can go back to the back corner to get through there and stuff like that.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
It does. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that a one-man operation? You still have 2 guys?
I still have 2 for that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Because they got to unload and load the drone off the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I like that because of the safety aspect. You keep the drone over here and you stay over here, and you got the truck to protect you, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's good to have built-in systems where you really have to follow, safety procedures and have to be so far away and have the ability to separate yourself with a barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's difficult to do on a compact trailer setup where you're landing on top sometimes.
Yeah. I've never really landed on top of a trailer yet, so it'd be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah.
If we decide to go that direction, but
it may have to go that direction.
Correct.
For transportability.
Correct.
Standpoint.
Yep.
Yeah. But to do it safely is going to be
That's the key. Yep.
Yeah. So you've trained your own operators.
Yep.
Over the past 3 years, sounds like. Pilots and interns. You have full-time pilots.
I just hired one here. 2 months ago.
2 months
for starting this next season to help out.
And he'll be a full-time year-round.
Yeah, he is.
Employee.
He is full-time right now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you've trained interns every year,
Mm-hmm.
and then you sold a bunch of drones to, I'm assuming, a bunch of new operators as well this past season.
Yep.
What's your training process like?
We try to give them as much information as possible to not have the struggles like we first did. I mean, that was the biggest thing, is just getting them on board with what the drones can and cannot do. Mm-hmm. Being upfront with them on what to expect, stuff like that. Even kind of showing them mixed setups, showing them what works and what doesn't. Be simple setups versus overcomplicated setups. Sometimes. Just try to go through some things, just to give them the knowledge that I wish I would have had my first year, I guess.
Yeah. You teach based on your mistakes, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have somebody go through that like I did.
Right.
I mean, it was a struggle, but I mean, we survived, but it was not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you wouldn't. Yeah, that's the thing that's difficult to understand if you don't know much about this industry, is you have to experience it in order to learn it.
Yes, for sure.
And you can teach based on your experience, but there's still some lessons, I'm sure, that have to be learned the hard way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. For sure. For sure.
So, looking into the future, it sounds like you guys are in the process of expanding facility.
Yep.
Are you looking, and that's mainly for the dealership side, right?
Yeah, correct. The shop that we're building, we have a shed right now that we currently operate the spray business out of. And we are currently building a shop with offices and storage and stuff for the drone repair side of things. Yep. Mm-hmm. First time we'll have a heated spot in the wintertime, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yep. Otherwise it's been, we didn't have anything else to do. So now we got work in the wintertime where we just got to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be all right.
It is, yes. Yes, I'm super excited about it. It's been a long process.
Yeah.
We started back in January, had it all drawn up by February, and it's just now getting built. Now, had some struggles with some stuff, but it's going. So,
Well, and talking to you last night, it sounds like you have a pretty, you're pretty lucky in that you have a good business partner and wife all in one.
absolutely.
Because she told you that the shop you're building is not big enough, and no man ever hears that.
No, no, that's for sure. So, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'd say I'd hang on to her for a while if I could.
Yeah,
If I was you.
yeah, for sure. She's a very intricate part of our business. I would not want a different partner involved in the business. I mean, her and I had our struggles at first. Obviously, we butted heads a little bit here and there on ideas and this and that, but we've learned to communicate a lot better. We've learned that we got to stay open-minded on both ends on what needs to do, and if there's something we need to fix, we got to fix it and get it going.
Yeah.
For sure. And she, obviously, she's my rock behind me because she motivates me to get going every day, for sure.
Well, you bring up a good point. I mean, I know personally, and with my own family, my own marriage, that running a business that really does take everything you've got.
Yes.
Is difficult for a relationship, difficult for a marriage sometimes.
Yep.
Whenever you don't have time for, that relationship and that marriage, because everything is sunk into, growing that business.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm sure you've had challenges, but it sounds like
For sure.
she's a big part of the business as well.
Yeah. July and August, she basically says goodbye. I mean, I'll talk to her throughout the day, but she knows my phone rings all the time. She knows that I'm busy, and she takes care of the kids for whatever they need to do. I mean, she runs 4 kids around, 3 of them are all involved in sports.
Yeah.
Pretty much every sport they're involved in. So that she does, and she coaches most of their sports and stuff. So she's busy with that, and just taking care of family and all that stuff is a priority of hers too. So I definitely don't want to take that ever away from her.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. And,
she keeps asking me when we're going to slow down.
Yeah. Gosh, are we married to the same person?
When we're going to slow down. And I said, well, I've never been able to slow down in my life. So
yeah. It's probably not going to happen. Yeah. Well, this is good because that I'm hearing this. Maybe my wife can hear this too. You've got 4 kids. I have 3.
Yep.
And I'm prodding for that 4th right now. And she says, that's fine. When are you going to start slowing down? And but you're not, and you've got 4, so it can be done.
It can be done. I have a 14-year-old boy, Connor. I have a 12-year-old boy, Isaac, and then I have a 9-year-old girl, Adley, and then the soon-to-be 4-year-old, Elena.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
Your 14-year-old, is he getting involved in the drone side of things?
A little bit. He helps here once in a while and stuff. My youngest boy actually helps more, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Last year, Connor went and got a job with a local plumber to help him out.
Yeah.
And then so Isaac, my youngest, came with me and helped me with the drone business, and even went out with the crews to change batteries and help them guys on the road. Yep. So he enjoys that. He's much
9,
rather.
you said?
Yeah. No, he's 12.
12.
Yeah.
12. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
You're gonna get strong lifting these Joe 50 batteries.
Yeah, he is. I already made him pick them up, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" But he's ready for the challenge to get stronger. So,
oh, good.
Yep.
Well, he sounds like he's in sports, so that'll be
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Yeah, good exercise.
Yep, for sure.
I don't need to go to weights coach, so I got drone batteries to pick up.
Yeah, just start bench pressing the drone batteries. It'll be okay.
Yeah,
It'll be
no
okay.
joke.
Yep.
That's a real deal too.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
You got to switch arms though once in a while.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. So, you're building a bigger building. You're expanding on your dealership side. Still looking at growing on the custom app side too?
No, I think we're going to stay kind of stagnant. And we have with that, we have the opportunity to grow. I could tomorrow. I just am kind of choosing not to because, I mean, it's a lot to manage 4 drones running and 3 crews going. That's a lot to manage anyway, plus the dealership side on top of everything. So, and the hard part is that the dealership is busy when the spray side is busy. So it's like, more added to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it would be great if everybody else sprayed a different time that you did. But unfortunately, they pretty much directly overlap.
Yes, and all of my customers are pretty much regionalized in my area, so it's like when they're busy, I'm busy, and it's
that does make it tough.
Yep.
I know that from our own experience, we knew we weren't going to do custom app this past year, at least not very much at all, but every year prior. When I say, all right, we're going to start growing a custom app side, and we get the crews lined up, and then the first day of application season hits around here, and our phone starts ringing off the hook. I say, hey, remember what I've been talking about for the past 3 months? Yeah, forget all of that. You're coming off the road. You're running a skeleton crew, and half you coming back in the shop.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because when the season gets over, you're like, yeah, we can do that again. Yeah. But during the middle of the season, you're like, why am I doing this? Yeah.
Glutton for punishment, I think, is something along those lines.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What, looking at, it's so, I mean, gosh, predicting the future in this industry is impossible, it seems like. I mean,
for sure.
The past 12 months, the past 24 months, I mean, any time frame over the past 4 years has taught us that no one knows what's coming next.
No.
But I guess if you had to, think about where this industry, where the technology, where those involved in it, should be planning, should be thinking, what does the next 3 years in your business and the industry look like in your perspective?
But that's really hard to predict. But I think after this year with the disease pressure we had, I think fungicide is going to get even more popular. And so anybody that's in the custom application world will never have a hard time finding work because people that didn't spray fungicide had a really big, drastic yield drag on their farm. So I think that's going to go up. The custom application is going to go up. I do really feel that the farmer owning a drone is going to go up in the next couple of years. One is they can do it on their own time. Now that we have a drone, like the J150 that is 20 gallons and can be productive, and you don't have to babysit it while it's flying is a big win for farmers. And I think they're also looking at how much the ROI is going to be on that side of things, because not only do you save on the application, but you can do it on your time when you want it done and when your crops are ready to go. Versus, even on my end, we can be a week behind or 2 weeks behind, and we can't change the weather. We can't, do anything to keep up. You could have more drones and people sitting, but that's not going to be a business model for anybody.
Yeah.
So I think that industry is changing quite drastically, and I never dreamt that it would be this fast.
Yeah.
As
far
figured
as
like
the adoption rate of the farmers?
Well, that and more custom applicators and all that stuff. Okay. I figured that was in like a 5 to 10 year plan, not a 1 to 3 year plan. Yeah. Going back to working at the equipment dealership, this is a funny scenario.
Yeah.
So we were over at DeKalb, Illinois at the DeKalb Farm Show and saw one of the first drones come out. Is that 1 gallon, 2 gallon drone that come out? I don't even know.
Was it white with like 8 motors on it?
I really don't remember the thing, to be honest with you.
What year was it?
it was either 17 or 18, I believe, maybe even 16.
Yeah.
But it was like a 1 or 2 gallon tank.
Mm-hmm.
And we were joking, me and the other salesman, because we sell farm equipment. So on our side, we also sold the sprayers, the big ground rigs.
Mm-hmm.
And we all laughed and said, that's a joke. That's never going anywhere. That's not going to. I was the one that was advocating that thing's never. No, drones are not taken anywhere. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
As far as like that goes. And I really put my foot in my mouth because now I'm full into the drones. But I remember that specific scenario. We was looking at it and man, oh man, I just said they're not going to do anything ever. Yeah. And that wasn't, so I'd been 18 and then 21, 22, the T30s came out.
Yeah.
And so like put my foot in my mouth because, yeah. I still tell that story today because, it was true. I said it would never go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is that going to compete with a plane or a helicopter or a ground rig?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they do. They really do.
Yeah, especially now.
Yeah.
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 And it's not just the size, it's the software, it's the sensors, it's, operators and, businesses like you who can support those operators, through the season. That's probably one of the biggest things that's helped this industry grow so fast is, people who, if your drone goes down, how do you get it back up? Because it needs to be up yesterday.
Correct.
And
yep.
I think that's really helping this industry grow.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, on the technology side, gosh, going from as late as 2020, the DJI MG1P, and then there was some from TTA America, I think, or TTA. They were mostly like in research, whatnot. But yeah, they were 2.5 gallons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're 10 times bigger now.
Yeah.
And twice as fast or more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's wild to see how that trajectory
Correct.
is taking off.
Yeah, even the speeds from the T40s to, the XAGs ran fast and now the J100s and the J150s run fast. Like, we thought them things were fast the first year. Like, that was cooking. We was like, man, that's, moving right along. And looking back at that was, now it's a snail.
Yeah,
it is. It is. But yeah, that's crazy what's all changed with that. Mm-hmm. That's scary at the same part because it's big, it's fast, it's,
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. But for sure needed to, and that's where like the farmer side of things, I think, is going to go because they are productive. They are bigger tanks. You can do, 9-acre loads, 9.5-acre loads and come back and send it off again for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have stuck it out doing, 4-acre loads, 5-acre loads.
No.
For sure. That would have been
and having to babysit it too.
And having to babysit it. Yep.
Yeah.
They got better things to do it. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
But it's kind of coming full circle. Whenever I started this, I thought it was a no-brainer. Every farmer's going to have one, right? Because, even if you only do 100 acres a day, well, especially not huge farms, but, where I was at, there's a lot of guys who farm 1,000, 2,000 acres, and, half of it was corn.
Yep.
And, if you're planting 100 acres a day, you can spray 100 acres a day with a 5-gallon drone.
Yep.
And it wasn't that difficult, really. It took you, most of the day to do it. It wasn't that difficult, but you could make a lot of, timing, like you said, is critical.
Yep.
Especially when you guys had, southern rust real bad.
Yes.
All over Iowa. And, 1 or 2 days can have a big impact.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and then I think what's going to end up happening here in the future is multiple applications with these, whether that's a foliar feed and then a first pass fungicide and a second pass fungicide, I think they'll adapt to that pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think, there's a lot of like biologicals and, different kind of what we used to call snake oils, in this industry in ag, especially for row crops, for corn and soybeans, that are really showing some promise. Do you think as farmers adopt drone technology, you think you'll see more farmers start to try out some of these biological components and spoon feeding different micros and whatnot?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They, like their first year, they'll figure out they'll spray half the field with that stuff plus their fungicide or whatever they're putting it on, or just even splitting the field in half and doing nothing versus that. But then once they see that there is some value and stuff to that, then they'll start integrating it more every year after that, for sure.
So I think that's definitely easier with the drone than with the ground rig.
Absolutely.
You're mixing, big loads, and
Right.
yeah, with the drone you can mix a small batch and
Yes.
try something out.
Yes. Yeah, if you want to go out in the middle of the field and spray 10 acres, now you have the capability of doing that.
Yeah.
Or just even along the field edge if you want to do it there, or cleaning up field edges, stuff like that. Would be you don't have to go mix up 500 gallons worth of product to go out there and think you got 3 acres out there. Now you can kind of map it, figure out what you need, mix up for the 3 acres, and go spray it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can prove it to yourself whether or not it works.
Correct.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because it's funny that you see, memes and whatnot about it, walking through different ag shows, you see different products being advertised, plus 8 bushels, plus 10 bushels, plus 15 bushels, whatever. And if you start going through there, if I just put all of this on, I'll have 1,000 bushel corn.
We should be raising 500 bushel corn by now with all them promises, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But if you have a tool that's easy to do those tests, then, you can figure it out for yourself.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. On the that does bring up an interesting point on the licensing side with farmers.
Yep.
Adopting this. Do you think that that's a hurdle that is still holding farmers back from adopting, or not?
To a point, as long as you explain that to them, what they need to do and what they need to get, and kind of help them through that process, it's a lot easier. Just we have the knowledge to do what we did, and then we can portray that back to them. As long as they have a general idea and have somebody that they can call with all the questions. Mary, she comes into play with that. That helps the ease of it too, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. The taking the length of the time to get your stuff is probably their biggest struggle, because they got to buy everything up front and then not use it for 6 months, and then that's the biggest, I think, hurdle. But otherwise, I think they're going to adopt to it. And there's a lot of applicators around that they've seen them run, so that's not a hurdle by any means to the farmer.
Yeah.
A lot of them are even using custom applicators to spray their own fields right now.
Yeah, right.
And so they've already seen it, they know it works. That's not it. The licensing will be a hurdle, but if you have somebody that can walk them through that, that'll be all right.
Yeah.
I'm sure eventually it'll get broken down to where it doesn't have to be the same licensing, but as of right now, it's the same that I'd have to go through on the custom side.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, but it's such a little headache to get through the big picture.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's really not that difficult.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, you have to go take, a couple of tests, but.
Well, even like following your regulations, having the backing of agri-spray drones, people to help them process that and get that through. Like, it's an easy button to get through that stuff. But the testing side, they've got to take tests throughout whatever they do anymore now.
Right.
Yeah.
Private applicator.
Applicator license, your DOT, your stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess it's true. Yeah.
Yep.
The DOT side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially if a farmer's got a younger kid, that he can help out with this. This will kind of help pay his way into the farm.
Is that kind of who you see adopting this on the farmer side first? Is those who have a second generation or next generation on the farm?
A little bit of both. Like I have one grower that he's kind of taking over the farm already, and he wants to do it himself. He's my age, just trying to cut some costs that way. But yes, and then I've got some, older farmers that are doing it themselves. They, doing it that way, and then or they've got their kids that need something to do in the summer while they're off in college, and then dad realizes he kind of enjoys it too.
Yeah.
So we've kind of got a mix of everybody, but yeah, that's some of that's happening. A lot of it's happening where they have the younger generation coming in, and this will help kind of not justify them, but help them.
Well,
if they go spray their 2,000 acres plus 1,000 of custom work or something, they can,
or even just saving that cost on not having to hire custom.
Correct.
Increasing yield potential by doing it in the right time.
Correct. Yep. For sure.
Because the ROI on a drone is pretty quick. Especially whenever you can, save a 20 bushel yield loss or more.
Right.
Right. Then you can justify that pretty easily.
Right. And make sure that your field gets covered in the timeliness that you want it done. That's worth every penny for that. So it's kind of when the industry changed on the ground applied, you not only save on your application, but potentially a lot of these guys can save on their chemicals to spray.
Cost of chemical.
Yes.
Yeah. Being able to source from different suppliers.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And I guess timeliness is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
It makes a lot of sense.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like with Southern Rust, I was talking to several guys that were doing drone application, and they said, yeah, well, I could have so and so do it, but they only carry Triva Pro.
Right.
Yeah, and Southern Rust can be controlled very well with
generic quilt.
Generic quilt.
Yep.
Yeah. So
at a lot less cost.
Yes. Yeah.
I ended up hitting. I had to call I left my interns go because we thought we were done, and they left on Thursday, and by Friday by noon, I had 1,000 acres sitting in front of me, wondering how I'm going to get it done. Yeah. I ended up calling one of my interns back to help me get that done that weekend, and he come up and helped me. But I ended up spraying my own after that because it showed up on my fields, and just put on generic quilt, and it took it away. And very happy with what the yields end up being with that.
Anybody have any side-by-sides on single pass application versus double?
I seen it on a different application. It wasn't the drones, but yes, there was a 25 bushel difference on a 2-pass this year.
On the 2-pass, so that second application.
So the first round they went in and skipped every other pass.
Yeah.
Second round they come in and sprayed the whole field.
Okay.
And it was 25 bushel across every pass.
What was the timing on that first?
Both of them, I guess. I thought he said right before tassel, so V10 in time frame, and then
just post tassel,
and then post tassel or 28 days later. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do feel like that's happening too. The 2-pass system is going to pay for itself, even if you use the generics or whatever. It does pay for itself versus a single, because I learned a lot. Didn't know fungicides don't move a whole lot in the plant. So wherever they stick, they stick. So if you can get it on early and then get that plant healthy on the underneath, and then when you hit it up top, it's taller. There's proven facts that that's a better system.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Correct. And as looking at it, they don't want to pay a guy like me to come spray twice. Having the application charged twice, that's where they're going to see that value for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Was there a lot of streaking with drones in your area this year?
Yeah, there was streaking with everything this year because that Southern Rust came in.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it was a drone, a ground rig, a plane, or a helicopter. They all had them.
All had it.
All had them.
Yeah.
Yep. We saw a lot of overlap streaks on our fields. We saw a lot of underlap streaks on neighboring fields. We saw a lot of if you had a plug nozzle on a ground rig, it showed up in a
plug nozzle showed up.
Yes.
So the fungus pressure was that high.
The disease pressure was that high. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's drones were kind of getting a bad rap for streaking. It seemed like, at least on social media and whatnot.
There were streaks for everything.
But it's
and different hybrids were different. Different carriers. We learned a lot about pH. If you didn't have your pH right in your water, that will cause your streaks bad.
Yeah.
If you had a high pH, that was a bad deal.
Yeah.
The plant didn't accept the fungicide if it was too high a pH.
So that would cause streaking or just poor performance, or I mean,
Basically, like you sprayed it, but it didn't look like you sprayed it because dead 2 to 3 weeks later.
holy cow!
Yeah, yeah. And that wasn't our personal stuff, but we've seen people that had that experience.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And that's probably one of the challenges, or one of the things that
Or if you were a week too early,
yeah,
or a week too late,
yeah,
that hurt. You know.
So it can't just be about farmers getting their own drones, but it also has to be about them learning the agronomics of doing an application they never had done themselves before.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. They have a lot to learn, but they'll figure it out. And that's why they're farmers.
Yeah.
They figure things out. They have to.
Yeah.
But yeah. And it's a small investment when it comes to the farm side. You talk a trailer set up with a drone. The trailer's never going anywhere.
Yeah.
So they can always use that. Even if the drone, they use it for 3 years, it still pays really fast.
Yeah.
There's no piece of farm equipment out there that's $40,000 anymore.
No.
So that's gonna persuade a lot of people.
Yeah.
Even the guys that run the tall boy Haggies, I had a customer of mine. He spent $30,000 on repairs by running it in tall corn. Well,
He spent as much as a drone costs on
Correct.
just repairs.
correct. And now that was over 3-4 years, but still. Yep.
Yeah.
So he's like, it's no brainer for
and
me to
but the
own a drone.
depreciation also on that equipment
Correct.
costs way more than 30,000. I would assume over that three-year time frame.
Correct.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wow.
And they've, like ground rigs, or I don't know what they were, but I know when I was selling them, they were, $700,000. I don't know where they're at today, but it's not a cheap investment for
No.
sure.
Ties a lot of capital too. Yeah.
It does. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So to purchase, even 2 drones with a trailer on it, you got what, 150,000 on it. It's still very cheap
Yeah.
compared to what they've been used to.
You could throw your drones away after 2 years and probably still have just as much money in depreciation and repairs as you would with your Haggy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. That is a lot of the questions. Like, the new drones are coming out every year.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to keep up that way, but I'm assuming that'll plateau at some point. We
Yeah.
hope.
Maybe.
But
Well, I don't know. You sell drones now, so maybe you don't hope that.
well, right. But it's hard for everybody to keep up that way.
That's
they can't
true.
trade up every year.
No, you
Wish
can't.
it was on a 2-year or 3-year turnaround on the new drones versus a year. But the industry is pushing it towards every year, which
But
is
it's
whatever.
a year because it's so much more efficient. Is the thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we will see that start to plateau.
There has to be a point because too big, you can't even carry them. Like, that's going to plateau that market eventually.
Yeah. Or too big, and the auxiliary equipment, tendering equipment, trailer, generator you have
People.
already, people
Can't support it.
can't support it.
Yeah.
And so then
Yeah.
it's not just a big drone investment, it's also a big everything investment.
Correct.
Yeah, so,
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I can see
But the
that.
beauty of the drones are, and that's what I tell a lot of the farmers, because that's their first question is, what do I do with this next year? Well, everything's replaceable on that drone. You bring it to us, we go through and do an inspection on it, get everything running, make sure everything works. We've even offered storage at our new facility. I don't know how that'll work, but
You need a bigger shop yet, sounds like.
well, I don't know. But anyway, like biggest thing is what I want to do is test it April, May
Yeah.
instead of December. That way they know it's ready to go for their season to go forward.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to do is test it in December, and then we get it out. They get it out of the shed, and just from sitting there could be something wrong.
Things that happen to batteries and what. Yeah. I mean,
It don't matter, motors, whatever. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. So, but then, like I tell them, everything's replaceable. So, I've seen it. You can have it completely look like it's not even a drone, and 12 hours later, you have it in the air again.
yeah.
We've seen that. We've done that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it is pretty wild. I remember that specifically from we did a sort of a demo slash training, I guess it was, but turned into more of a demo for the old T20. And I forgot I had my obstacle avoidance turned off to land close to my truck. And somebody asked me, how good's that obstacle avoidance on that thing? I was like, oh, it's not, yeah, well, I'll show you, you know. And so I flew it slowly towards a grain bin.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was going away from it. I couldn't really tell, you know, how close it was. And I don't think it's slowing down. No, it's not slowing down. It was too late, and smacked the side of that thing and tumbled down. And they thought it was, you know, I thought, you know, my life's over or whatever, you know. I was like, oh, it's gonna be a bad day, but let's go check it out. And so sort of pointing out, well, broke, you know, 2 arms and this and that, whatnot. So we got all this stuff at the shop. This is probably going to be a 4-hour repair. And they were like, what? 4 hours to fix what you just crashed into the side of it? No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's modular.
Yeah.
You can fix it all.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
How big is too big, do you think, on these drones? What's the right size for a farmer, you know, 2,000 acre farmer?
I really think even the J100 with the 12 would work for that guy.
Yeah.
The J150 is better because they can get it done that much faster. Mm-hmm. I mean, you talk a 2,000 acre farmer, you know, they're not going to push as hard as a custom applicator does, because, you know, they just want to take their time, do enough to me, you know, so if they get 350 acres done a day, you know, that's going to be a big day for them.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't take very long to cover them 2,000 acres.
Yeah.
And so I think that industry, you know, between that 20 and 30 gallons is probably going to be your max for that, because, again, it goes to the trailer setup. It goes to the
generator.
Just having a big enough area to land and take off.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing, you know. We've got people that are landing up atop of pickup setups with like a smaller drone, and it works. But now this 150 comes up, it's 2 foot wider. Your safety becomes in a big play there.
Yeah.
Now, if they ever come to where they could load and change their battery on their own, the sky's the limit, you know, because if you don't have to be involved with it as much as what we do now, the sky's the limit there.
Yeah.
But I don't think that'll ever get to that point. I shouldn't say never.
Yeah.
It could possibly happen, but that I think is going to be the limiting factor of their landing spots, you know, being on a trailer and still being safe. But farmers are used to semis. They could build a landing pad on top of a semi very easily.
Yep.
And so who knows where this will go. It'll be interesting. I never thought they'd get past 12 gallons. So here we are.
Here we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
And going any faster than, you know, 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty wild. It's hard to speculate, but
Yep.
I'm glad I'm glad operators in that part of the world have a guy like you to help coach them, because it sounds like you've got a lot of learning experiences to impart onto them, and that's exactly what we need.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Trial by fire, as my wife said.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm glad you've got a good business partner and wife to do everything from.
Without her, I wouldn't be here today.
Well,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say to kind of tell you to slow down, but it sounds like in some case she's telling you to speed up. So I mean, you have all your bases covered.
Some days, yes. Some days, yes.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Any other closing remarks?
Nope. Yeah. Nope. I'm excited to see what this future brings with us and our partner as you guys. I'm excited to that next step and that next future of this drone industry for sure. Yeah. The train's running 200 miles an hour. Yeah. It really is. And yep.
We're on it now.
We're on it now. Might as well ride it. So, yep.
That's right.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in. Really appreciate this.
Yeah. Thank you guys for everything.
You betcha. Looking forward to the future.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
Thank you.